Welcome to my channel. Germanwings Flight 9525. Germanwings Flight 9525 was a scheduled international passenger flight which departed from Barcelona El Prat Airport, and was heading to its destination at Düsseldorf Airport in Germany. The flight departed on March 24, 2015 at roughly 10:01 am. The flight was supposed to reach its destination at 11:39, but would never make it. The aircraft was an Airbus A320. French air traffic control were in contact with the pilots at 10:30 that morning, but then the aircraft suddenly left its cruising altitude of 38,000 feet and began to descend at a rapid rate. The French air traffic control lost radio contact with the aircraft, and had to assume that the aircraft was in trouble. Sadly, they were correct. Not long after this, the aircraft crashed northwest of Nice in the French Alps. Helicopters were quickly sent to locate the aircraft and search for any survivors. Sadly, all they found was the wreckage that had disintegrated over an area of 500 acres. Sadly, the rescuers found no survivors from the crash. On board there had been 144 passengers, and 6 crew members. These included 2 pilots and 4 cabin crew. The pilot in charge had been 34-year-old Patrick Sondenheimer. His co-pilot had been 27-year-old Andreas Lubitz. The French BEA opened an investigation into the cause of the crash, and were joined by the Federal Bureau of Aircraft Accident Investigation. The BEA was also assisted by the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation. Investigators were sent to the crash site, where they found the cockpit voice recorder, which even though it had been damaged in the crash was still usable. What they would discover would be shocking and unbelievable. It was discovered that the captain had left the cockpit, most probably to use the toilet, but when he returned and tried to get back into the cockpit, the door had been locked. The captain had the code to unlock the door, but it is thought that it was disabled from the cockpit, and he was unable to get back in. The captain tried to get in contact with Andreas Lubitz to tell him to let him back in, but he received no response. The captain is heard trying to gain access to the cockpit. He even tried to break down the door, but since the September 11 attacks, these doors had been reinforced to stop any terrorist gaining access. Investigators could hear the screams from the passengers just moments before impact. The BEA's final report into the crash was published March 13, 2016. It concluded that Andreas Lubitz had deliberately crashed the aircraft as an act of suicide. It had been discovered that Andreas Lubitz had already been treated for suicidal tendencies prior to his training as a commercial pilot. Andreas had joined the Lufthansa training program after finishing high school. He began training in September 2008, but this was suspended in November 2008 after he was hospitalized for severe depression. He didn't resume his training again until 2009. Between June 2011 and December 2013, Andreas worked as a flight attendant for Lufthansa, while still training to get his commercial pilot's license. He joined Greenwings as a first officer in 2014. The Lubitz family disputed the findings that Andreas had deliberately caused the crash, or that he had suffered from depression at the time. They believed that something else must have happened which prevented him from unlocking the cockpit door, or controlling the aircraft. In response to the crash, aviation authorities in some countries decided to implement new regulations that require 2 authorized personnel to be present in the cockpit at all times. Germanwings' parent company, Lufthansa, offered the victims' families an initial aid payment of €50,000. As of February 2017, Lufthansa had paid €75,000 to every family of a victim, as well as €10,000 for pain and suffering compensation to every close relative to a victim. A stone in memory of the victims of Flight 9525 was erected near to the crash site. Our hearts go out to the families of those on board Flight 9525. May your loved ones never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel to view other content.